All right, I'm going to start with number 5 in the packet. So I'm going to go through 3 of these, number 5, number 8, and then one on the back. Nothing necessarily new. I just want to talk you through them again to make sure that we're good to go on all of these different types of similarity. Remember, you're focusing on kind of what we did in the beginning of the unit with similar triangles based on angle, angle, side, 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 angle, side. Obviously, if you're trying to solve for sides, like something in number 8, you're going to use angle, angle to know that they're similar, and that's why we can set up the problems the way we do. But then we talked about triangle proportionality with the parallel lines, like number 5. We also talked about angle bisector, which I don't remember where we put it on here, if we put it on here. Yep, number 1. Okay, number 1 is an angle bisector, so that method. And then geometric mean, which we've been talking about for the past couple days. So those are kind of the big 4. The postulates, the triangle proportionality, the angle bisector, and the geometric mean that you want to make sure that you are good on, know how to tell the difference between, and all that. Okay, so if you take a look at number 1, the first thing you should be thinking is triangle proportionality because you see the parallel lines. So here it says CD is X and CL is also X. DU is X squared minus 5. And LO is X plus 7. Now remember, yesterday in class we treated this, because of the information we were given, you treated it like similar triangles, little triangle, big triangle. In this case, this says what is the length of CU. So our end goal is to figure out how far it is from top to bottom on the left-hand side. But triangle proportionality does say that if you have this side, side UO, and then you have this intersecting line, and these are parallel, it's dividing the triangle sides proportionally. So now we can say that top over bottom equals top over bottom. Okay. So you're going to cross multiply here, and you're going to get x squared plus 7x. And then x to the 3rd minus 5x. Now, you guys, we've seen thirds. We did this in quadratics, but you guys tend to see thirds and freak out. Okay, so bring everything to one side. You have 0 equals x to the 3rd minus x squared, and then minus 12x. When you bring over the 7x, you have to subtract it. Do not forget about a GCF. So technically that's 0 equals x times x squared minus x minus 12. Okay, you guys tend to see x to the thirds and think, oh, I can't do anything with them. In this class, next year you'll learn how to factor those, but for right now, that should hopefully lend you to think, oh, wait, I'll probably have a GCF here. Okay, so then you have 0 equals x times x and x. We need 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 12, add to be negative 1, so I'm going with negative 4 and positive 3. Double check it, x and x is x squared. 3 minus 4 is negative 1x, so we're good, and negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. You guys, some of you are still getting tripped up on your C value. You have to check the sign of the C value, because it's great if your B value works out, but some of you are skipping that last step, and then it isn't correct because you didn't check the sign being correct. So this tells me that x is 0, x is 4, and x is negative 3. So we check them. Now keep in mind, you have a distance that is just x. So if you substitute any of these in, we can't have a 0 distance, we can't have a negative distance. So that means your only x value that works is 4. Okay, so now we're going to use that and say, okay, if x is 4, that means this side is 4. So is this side. That means this side is 4 squared minus 5, which is 11. And 4 plus 7, which is 11. Some of you might picked up on the fact that in the beginning, these had to be the same no matter what, because if you have x and it's proportional, if you have 4 up here, you have to have the same number in the denominator in order to solve. Okay, The real question is how long is CU? So you add those together and you get 15. So CU is 15. Oh, there isn't a unit, so we'll write units. Okay. All right, now for number 9, it says find what is the length of GC. Okay, if you look at this, you guys, you know that these are similar by angle, and this tripped you up, a lot of you, on your quizzes. Here you have 2 triangles and they've been rotated. So I suggest if you're having a hard time seeing these, you have this bottom triangle here, redraw it. This is X, and this ends up being X plus 8 because it's 2 pieces put together. It's this piece on the left and the middle piece. And then you have your marking here. Don't lose the markings, you guys. That's going to help you. Then you have this second triangle here. This is your right angle. Your single marking is right here. This is 26. This bottom side is going to be 10 because it's the 2 pieces of 8 and 2. So now, pay attention to markings. You guys, you are not marking your diagrams. A lot of you. Those of you that are marking your diagrams are doing fabulous with these problems. Those of you that are not are still continuing to struggle. And I can only say it so many times. If you don't mark your diagrams, you are making your life way harder than it needs to be. Because now I can clearly see this is the side between my right angle and my single mark. That has to go with the 26 because that goes from the right angle to the single mark. My X goes from my right angle to my unmarked angle. So does my 10. Okay, do not rely on the picture. Don't say it kind of looks like this. Mark the picture. Okay, if you don't, I can't help you. So here I have X plus 8 over 26 equals X over 10. And remember, it doesn't matter where you start. I chose to go with circle over circle equals underline over underline. Doesn't mean you couldn't start with X over 10 equals X plus 8 over 26. It doesn't mean you couldn't start on this triangle and say 26 over X plus 8 equals 10 over X. There's a bunch of different ways. As long as this next step is the same, your setup is fine. Okay, so this ends up being 10X plus 80 equals 26X. Okay, when you cross multiply. So as long as you got that step, you're fine. I don't care what your setup is. So you have 80 equals 16x when you subtract your 10x over from both sides, and you end up with an x value of 5. The question is asking for what is the length of GC. So if you look at your picture, GC is right here. Okay, that's the length they want. So that right here is this side right here. So you're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem here, because if x is 5, this side is 5, this side is 13, because 5 plus 8 is 13. We're looking for GC, which is this side right here. So you're going to have 5 squared plus 13 squared equals whatever GC is squared. So if you add together your 5 squared and your 13 squared, you get 194 equals GC squared. Again, you guys, we've talked about this. You want to work smarter, not harder. Okay. So here you have a distance. So since you have a distance, you're going to give me a decimal answer. Okay. I'm not asking for X. If I was, then you need to make sure you have the exact, which means not rounded answer. Okay, we've talked about this, so we're blue in the face, I feel. Hopefully you're rolling your eyes because you get it at this point. So this is a distance, so you're going to actually take the square root of 194, and you get GC is approximately 13.9. Be careful with your rounding. That should be a 3, and that is feet. Okay. All right. The last one I'm going to do is number 10. Okay. We haven't looked at these in a while since before the quiz. Speaking of your quizzes, I will give them back to you tomorrow. Sorry, totally spaced yesterday. You'll get those back tomorrow and you can use them to study. I'll put the key up and everything. This is saying what is the length of JM and KN? So obviously JM, we're going to need X in order to make that happen because that's this whole distance, and KN, which is this whole distance. So regardless, kind of like what we talked about yesterday, you guys, you always solve for X first. So if you look at this is 58, which means this is 58 based on vertical angles. That means if you subtract those from 180, this one is 39, which is good because then you have angle similarity, right? So we know they're similar, and then this has to be 83. Okay, so mark your picture. Across from 39 is X, across from 39 is 9, and then across from 83 is 3X, across from 83 is 14 plus X. So these are similar by angle similarity. So now I know that the sides are proportional, which is why we set for proportion. Okay, so we have X over 9. I'm doing circle over circle equals 3X over 14 plus X. Okay, so you end up with 14X plus X squared equals 27X. Okay, this is another type of problem that you guys tend to get tripped up on. If you bring everything to one side, I'm going to bring the 27 over, and I'm going to rearrange this. I want my X squared first. Okay, and then technically I'm subtracting 14 minus 27, and you're going to get a negative 13X. Okay, you guys tend to get here. I've gotten a lot of questions on this, and you get stopped up. It's like the last question with the X to the third. You have an X GCF, so then you have X minus 13, and you're done factoring, okay? So that means X is 0 and 13, okay? Again, it is nice when you have one, if you look up here, this one circle has just an X value, so then we automatically know we can't plug 0 in, right? So 13 works here. That means this would be 13. This would be 39 if we substitute in. This would be 27, and this stays 9. Okay, so X equals 13 is the one that's going to work. Okay. The question's asking for the length of JM. Well, from J to M is from here to here. So the two distances that make that up are JL and LM. So you're going to add together your 39 and your 9. And that tells us that JM equals, it's an exact answer, so you don't need an approximate. 39 plus 9 is 48 meters. And then KN is the other diagonal from here to here. Well, we're going to add together 13 and 27 and get 40 meters. Again, it's exact. You should not have approximates there. Okay. Now, the rest of the packet is for you to do. Everything's going to come up. Pay attention to what we're asking for. You might need to go back and find extra sides. If it's perimeter, if it's area, all of that stuff is going to come into play. It's going to come into play again with your review packet. You're going to have to do subtraction. If you look at something like number 12, you're either going to have to subtract here or add here. So you really need to be diligent in what pieces you're putting together in order to make sure that you're correctly setting up your problems. Okay. So this is due tomorrow. Tomorrow I will expect everything to be done with the exception, obviously, of your test review that you will get tomorrow. So any outstanding homework, you guys, get it done today, get it done tonight, so that when you walk in tomorrow, the only two things that you are focusing on are your test review and going over your quiz. Okay?